What's your business name again?
Fracked Out Woodcraft.
Fracked Out
Woodcraft.
Okay. Christopher, Fracked Out Woodcraft.
Yes.
Today I'm with Christopher. He's one of the founder of Fracked Out Woodcraft. Christopher?
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you, my man.
Nice to meet you. Yes, sir.
Tell me your story.
Sure. So about 6 years ago, my wife and I purchased a home, and in that home had a detached shop. And when we bought it, the gentleman that we purchased it from said, "Would you just take everything in the shop?" And I said, "Sure." It was full of wood. And I've never done anything with wood a day in my life. And so my son came home and said, "Dad, you need to start putting electricity on that. It's really cool. It's right up your alley. I think you'd like it." And so we started frackling wood. It's actually called the Lichtenberg process, named after George Christoph Lichtenberg. And so I started frackling stuff at home, just a little hobby, side job thing, doing fun stuff. My bride came out and said, "What are you doing with all that stuff in the corner of the shop?" And I said, "You know, the neighbors don't want it anymore. I don't know what to do with it." And she said, "Why don't we do a craft show and see what happens?" And so we did our first craft show 5 years ago. We brought about 40 items with us because it was brand new to me. We sold everything that we had. And so we were pretty mesmerized. So then I quickly went in the shop and started just having fun working more, thinking there could be some money in this. And so we started doing craft shows, slowly building up. 2 years ago, we did 40 shows. Last year, we ended with 37 shows. But we've done all of our shows in our local area. We're from Custer, South Dakota. And so we do a lot of shows around there because it's a tourist area with Mount Rushmore and Custer State Park. And so there's a lot of events available to us. We've never been out of our area. My bride and I are going to go visit her mother down in the Sacramento area. And so she said, "Hey, why don't we see if there's something along the way?" So she found this event. We thought, well, let's give it a shot. So we stayed the night last night and got up this morning, set everything up, and I'm really excited to see how things go today.
Wow, fascinating. You come from Custer, South Dakota?
Yes.
We are here in West Valley, Utah. I don't know how, maybe 8 hours, right?
Nine hours. Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes. And the reason why I mentioned my son got me started in it is not only do we fractal burn, so we have a laser, so we laser engrave images in, and then I come back and I put high voltage electricity into the wood afterwards. And then after I put that high voltage electricity in, we clean up the projects, and then my wife goes back, and I'll show you on this one actually. We come back in, don't worry about that, and we hide a small Bigfoot. So there's a little tiny Bigfoot in every item in the booth. So there's one hidden in everything. My son's name's Harrison, but he goes by Harry. And there's that old movie Harry and the Hendersons, which is that old Bigfoot movie. And so we hide a little Harry, a little Bigfoot on everything as a thank you to my son for getting me started. So the Bigfoot actually represents my son.
So this is like a family affair.
Well, my boys are married. Actually, my son Harrison, he lives in Lithuania, so he's a long ways away. Yes. My older son lives just an 8-minute walk from the house, which is nice because we walk over and get the grandkids.
The grandkids, right?
Yes, the most important part of my life now. Yes.
So tell me about, how do you get the supplies? You go to Home Depot and get the woods? How does that work?
Yes, so we, my raw wood, my raw slabs I get from a gentleman at the mill locally. The cedar that I have in my booth is actually Eastern red cedar. And so the cedar, when the Dust Bowl went through South Dakota in 1930, it killed about 20,000 people. So FDR signed an executive order and planted massive cedar groves as windbreaks to try to prevent the dust storms. Those windbreaks have now all grown up and they're choking themselves out, so we're reclaiming all of that cedar. So I get all of my cedar from the windbreaks from the Dust Bowl. So what we do is we laser engrave a little story on the back of every piece of cedar that talks about how it came from those windbreaks of South Dakota and its historic cedar. And then what we do is, the process is, she'll laser engrave the image in, I'll fractal burn around that image, and then I hide the Yeti, and then we put 3 coats, sometimes 4, cedar gets 4 coats usually, of polyurethane oil on top, just to seal everything and keep the colors that way inside the wood. Wow. The rest of the wood I do get from a hardware store, whether it be my rounds for Lazy Susans or things of that nature. This wood I get in long sticks, and I just cut it down, router it out, and make the sizes that we present.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you have a background in carpentry? that allow you to know how to make this stuff? How did you learn it?
No. My wife and I own a home inspection company.
Okay.
So we've been doing home inspections for about 17 years. We've done about 5,000 homes throughout our area. We do that full time. And then in the evenings, I come home and I just work in the shop. I have no wood background. I've never done anything with wood a day in my life. I was just blessed to have a guy that didn't want all the wood that was left in that shop. And so I got all that wood, and that's where I started the process. And so no, I've never done anything with wood a day in my life. And I tell people all the time, because people are like, we do custom work where we'll laser engrave. We can like laser engrave even photograph images. So this is an image of a dog that had actually passed away. So we laser engrave that image in there, and then put a little information about that dog on there. And then we put a little hook on it. And then if your dog's alive, it's your place to hang your leash, and then after they pass, you put the collar on. So we call them a forever board for your pets. So we laser engrave the images. We do a lot of that sort of thing. We had the business running about a year and a half, and then we finally were able to get a good quality laser. And so we changed the entire dynamic of the projects by adding the laser to the process. Yeah.
You go to, last year you went to 40 Market, and was it in South Dakota? Do you go to different state? How do you do
All
that?
South Dakota. Because we live in such a tourist area, they'll do events in like Custer, they'll do events in all throughout Rapid City, and then we have a little tiny niche called Deadwood and Lead area, which is a ski resort, and then an old western town. They do events in those areas, and so we just kind of gather the events. We've actually, over the years, my bride put together a list of all the shows that we can find, and then we distribute that to the other vendors that are at the shows, and we became a kind of a vendor family. We have a network of vendors that we kind of work with now, and so on that list, there's about probably 150 shows in the area that are available for you to go and do your wares and have fun. We kind of pick and choose which ones we go to now. We kind of slowing down a little bit. I realize it takes 3 hours roughly to set up my booth, almost 2 hours to tear my booth down. I have 23 grid walls and lots of tables, and I didn't bring all of my product to this show because we're just traveling in my Jeep, so we just brought what we could fit, but generally I bring a trailer with me, and so it's quite a process. And so one-day shows, we try to lean away from a lot of the one-day shows just because of the time and energy to set up and tear down, but we still do some of the one-day shows, but primarily we stick with 2 and 3 day events if we can.
Wow. This is a lot. This is a lot of information you're giving me.
Yes, sir.
When you go to those, I know those 2-day show are expensive. The booth can be expensive, right?
They can. So we hunt and choose and pick and choose. We're fortunate enough that we've been doing it enough now, and we get along so well with the other vendors. We really don't have any riff with anybody. That a lot of the people that orchestrate the shows, they'll reach out to us and they'll be like, "What do you think's a fair price point?" And so we've actually been able to slightly adjust some of the price points because some of them were a little spendier than I think that they should have been, and they've actually brought the prices down to make them a little more reasonable. And then you kind of have to look at the event. You know, some events you go into and the hosts, you know, they give you a place, they mark the tape on the ground, and go set up and have fun, do your thing. And then some vendors actually, you know, they'll supply you a whole spread of lunch or breakfast, or you know, they really go above and beyond. So I don't mind paying a little extra if you're getting paid, if you're getting fed as well, because you're not out of pocket lunch and whatnot, and you don't have to leave your booth. You know, you're right there in all the events and everything. So we like those kinds of events, but honestly, I think I like outdoor events. Indoor events are great, but I love outdoor events. I like to set up my tents. I like to put my grid walls in my tents and have people coming through. And then what I have found is I would highly recommend, if you're a vendor, get electricity if you're outside. And then go buy some box fans, and you put your tent up, and you stick those box fans in the rafters of the tent where the arms are all at, and you have them facing downwards, and you turn those box fans on, and anybody walking around at an outside event, they're going to spend an extra 20 minutes in your booth because it's got air conditioning. It's a great way to keep them in your booth. And then if you're an outside event, go down to Sam's Club or Costco and buy those little miniature bottles of water and get a ice chest, and then anybody comes in your booth, you offer them a small bottle of water. you might invest $10 in water for an entire weekend, but I guarantee you will sell 10 times the product you ever did just by being generous enough to offer a bottle of water. And people are more communicative if they're holding something in their hand. So you're sharing a bottle of water with somebody, you'll develop a better relationship and a better connection when you're selling your wares to that person than you would if you just were like, oh yeah, I got this and that, and you walk away. Communication and working with people and describing people and having a story. Develop a story for your product. Let people know that it's not just, oh, I threw this together over the weekend kind of thing. There's a process that goes into it. People like to hear that, and people like to invest with people that invest in their products. You know, you take pride in what you do and people see that and they will work with you.
I think so many vendors don't realize that they think because they make the items, they feel like people should just buy them. I don't think they realize at the end of the day, you are a businessman or a businesswoman.
Correct.
When you go to a market, it doesn't matter your uncle, your grandma like it, you are a new person. No one cares about your product. If you cannot sell, communicate with them, overcome the objection, you're just another person in the market.
That's true.
And I think a lot of them struggle with that.
Well, and if you think about, I mean, realistically, our economy has dropped tremendously. You know, every dollar counts now. And you come into this market and there's got to be 40 vendors here set up. Why are they going to spend money with me and not 15 other people? And if they do spend their money with 15 other people and they didn't spend it with me, then I'm not going to get them because they've run out of money. And so it's really good to present your product. Don't be pushy, but inform them. People won't buy it if they're not informed as to what it is you're offering. You know, if I don't sit here and say, hey, I can take a photograph of your last vacation and put it on a piece of wood and you can forever have a memory of your last vacation with your family on the wall, that's priceless. You know, photographs fade. Digital pictures get lost. You put it on a piece of wood and it's forever. So we always tell everybody, we don't charge any extra. We'll put a salutation on the back so that 10, 20 years from now, when people pull that off the wall and they go, who is that? On the back, it'll tell you when the vacation was, what the date was, who was in the photograph. It's really important to keep those memories and pass those things on. I would love to have had something with my grandparents' photograph, an image of them on a piece of wood that I could have in my home forever. I just think that's a kind of a cool thing to have. So I like selling the idea of we can custom something for you, and then what we do is we don't charge any extra for custom work other than if it is a photograph, we charge $5. So we just charge by the size of the wood. So something this size is $30. You add a photograph, it's $35.
That's not bad at all.
No, we can do as little as $25. Our smallest items in the booth are $25 for hanging wall arts. Then we do have smaller things like mushrooms that are $10 and coasters that are $10, that sort of stuff. But hanging wall art start at $25. So we try to be reasonable because we had a lot of kids that would come in our booth at Christmas time that wanted something special for mom and dad, but they have a really tight budget. So we decided, well, let's start making things smaller so we can fit it into those children's budgets.
Totally. What's the future? What's the future for the business?
So we have 2 years left of our home inspection company. We've decided we're going to retire from that in 2 years. We just renewed the first of this last year, my license and all that, and so we did all the correct stuff with the state. So as soon as that expires, we're done with that, and we're going to continue on with this. We're going to now pick up and start doing some more traveling with the products. I feel like unless it's a tourist season, we've kind of tapped out our market. We live in an area with about 80,000 people, and that's an 80,000 people that covers about 12 different little towns. So it's a really small, tight-knit community area. I think I've probably reached most of the people in my dynamic of my residents. So we do really well in the summer when all the tourists come to Mount Rushmore and they see these shows and they pull over and check out the craft show too while they're on vacation. That's great. I'll never tap out that market because it's people from all over. However, if I'm just doing a show and it's my backyard shows, I don't do as well as I once did because they've already got, you can only put so much stuff on your wall. So we're going to stretch our legs a little bit. This is our first time really kind of getting out of our market share area and seeing how it goes here. We're leaving from here to Sacramento to go visit my bride's mother. We have a show that she found down there, so we're actually going to do one more show at our winery next weekend down there in Sacramento. We'll hit that event, and then we're going to see how these two events went, and then we're going to probably stretch out. We're thinking about maybe going to the eastern side of our state, maybe into Montana, Oregon, we're just going to play around with a little bit this year and see how it grows. We have a little more time available to us on our hands now, so we can actually do these traveling things. And now that I figured out that I can fit this much product in my Jeep without pulling a trailer, it's going to allow me to get out of the area a little further. I really don't like pulling a trailer states away.
Do you have a website or Facebook page?
So we do. Our Facebook page is Fracked Out Woodcraft. I had to think about it for a second. Yeah.
See that again?
Fracked Out Woodcraft.
And they can DM you or message you?
Yeah, and so it's called fractal wood burning, and so we just kind of play on terms and call it Fracked Out and then Woodcraft at the end. But yes, you can email us, you can text us, anything you want right through the website, through the Facebook page and whatnot. We're always available. We also just recently got onto Etsy.
You have Etsy?
Yes, so we are available on Etsy. We actually got a couple of orders this morning for some hearts for Valentine's Day that we'll quickly get together and put together for some people. So we're going to do some custom orders that people have ordered online through Etsy, but we do have products there as well. Yeah.
Etsy's the same name?
Same name.
Okay.
Fracked Out Woodcraft.
Christopher, you're the man.
Yeah, thank you. So good to meet you, my friend. You have a blessed day.
You have a blessed day too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
That was great.
I just wrote to my friends and said,